Hello, and welcome to Regular Veteran. My name is Scott, and today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be driving from just outside of Portland, where I live, to Seattle on the back roads through Washington. While I'm doing that, I'm going to bring you all the latest veteran news. Stay tuned right here. All right, I think we're about good. And some cash out. I'm not gonna just be taking the highway the whole way there. I'm gonna go on the back roads, over Bridge of the Gods, past Mount Adams, past Mount St. Helens, and past Mount Rainier. I may or may not have gotten lost at one point. It was pretty amazing to drive for nearly an hour and not see another car. No, not right here. Obviously, you can see cars here. I'm talking about later, but you'll see where there was just nobody around. It was amazing. As far as veteran news, I'm going to tell you all about a recent court ruling that means big changes for the GI Bill. The House Committee on Veteran Affairs is back to work. I'm going to talk about their live streams on YouTube. I've learned about a few cool programs veterans should be aware of, and I want to leave you feeling good, so I'm going to finish everything with some really great news. Before I get started on the GI Bill, let me tell you about an article I read about a string of suspicious deaths at a VA hospital in West Virginia. Last April, one day apart, 2 elder veterans, one Army and one Air Force, died from insulin they didn't need being injected into their stomachs. Both deaths are being called homicides. 8 other deaths are under investigation, and the local American Legion commander started rethinking the 50 deaths from last year because they took place at the hospital that's under investigation. So scary. Oh my gosh. On a lighter note, I've seen 2 campaign commercials recently that make politics seem fun. Tom Cruise's 2020 campaign video was amazing, and Kim Olson's Texas congressional campaign did a great job with her video. Kim seems to be a bit of a badass. The link's below to all of that. Okay, the GI Bill could see some changes as a new court ruling came down. If you're like me and you paid $1,200 into the Montgomery GI Bill and then served 3 years to become eligible, and then you served another 3 years and the 9/11 GI Bill came out and you were eligible for that, you could get benefits from both. Wait, what? I guess somewhere it says you can't get more than 48 months of bennies, but at least there's a possibility of 48 months between both programs. Previously, it was only you could use your 9/11 GI Bill and get refunded the $1,200 you paid for the Montgomery, but both programs cover 36 months of school and drop veterans at a critical time in their schooling. The new court ruling says double dipping is only to say that you can't use both programs concurrently. Essentially, this means you should be able to use your 9/11 GI Bill till it runs out and then finish school with your Montgomery GI Bill. We'll see how it plays out, and I'll update you in a future episode. This place is amazing. I can't tell which mountain is which, but just take it in. This is Washington. I currently have no idea where I'm at, so I figured I would stop here, and here's a map, but it doesn't look like it's going to be very helpful. Let's see here. I don't even know where I am. I guess I'll just keep going and hope for the best. I mean, obviously Google's going to get me there, but if Google went out right now, I'd be so screwed. Student Veterans of America spoke at the House Committee for Veteran Affairs to tell them to get rid of the Montgomery GI Bill, or at least push back its enrollment. Right now, it's in basic training, and trainees don't really get to do any research, but if they pushed it back a year and they were able to really look into what they're paying into and what they're enrolling in, they might not be enrolling in the Montgomery GI Bill at all. When eligible for both programs, only 6% of veterans have chosen the Montgomery GI Bill over the 9/11 GI Bill. The House Committee for Veteran Affairs is back at work, and recently their live stream has just been really busy. One of their live streams was just representatives from all over the country coming in and talking about programs or projects that they need a bill or legislation to get help on. And I'm sure there was some politics there that I wasn't aware of, but for the most part, it felt like a bunch of representatives trying to get together to say, hey, you guys are the ones making decisions for veterans. This is the problem that I hear from constituents in my area. I can't put all of the bills that they talked about in this one episode, so I'll have to make a separate episode for that. One of the coolest things I've seen in the world of the VA recently was a veteran fitted for an exoskeleton at a VA hospital in Oklahoma City. The woman was in a car accident over a decade ago and was mostly paralyzed from the waist down, but in the video I saw her, she was walking around at the zoo with her daughter. It was remarkable to see what the VA was capable of, and she was so excited to just be able to do the simple things like laundry or wash her own dishes standing up. Check out the link below. Okay, this one's amazing, and I'm gonna tell you about it, but it's also gonna lead to another episode. So if you want to hear more, then definitely make sure you subscribe before you leave. Did you know you can adopt a military working dog? Some people call them war dogs, and it makes sense. I never thought about it, but the dogs that don't meet the standard for a full-time military working dog have to get adopted out. So if you're interested in adopting a dog that just didn't cut it for one of many reasons, then check out the link below. Your likelihood of adopting a dog that's actually been to war is actually pretty low. Over 90% of military working dogs get adopted by their handler when they separate. It's amazing. I'm gonna do a whole episode on military working dogs. Just hearing about this made me do a little bit of clicking around, and I got really excited. I'm also working on an episode about drugs in the military. That one's really interesting. It's not just about passing a drug test, but it's the history of drugs, it's drug research, experimentation, the drug war, smuggling, just everything I could find on drugs in the military. So if you're not subscribed now, then you better be by the time. Just do it right now. Just do it. Just subscribe already. Just follow me. Oh wait, I gotta tell you, the stop sign with the bullet holes in it set a little bit of a creepy vibe, and then I came across this woman flagging me down to help her. So I stopped and asked her what was going on, and she said there were bees getting her. I didn't see any bees, but I wanted to help, so I put it in park and I rolled up my windows and I got out, and I couldn't tell exactly how lucid she was. She told me that she threw her keys. When I asked her where she threw them, she pointed over here, but as I started looking for where she could have even come out of the woods, she said she needed something sharp to start her car. I still hadn't even seen a bee. At this point, I kept thinking someone was gonna pop out of the woods and steal my car, and she never seemed to make that feeling go away. I didn't want to have to fight an old lady, but most old ladies don't know that something sharp would start their car, so that sent off a red flag in my mind. I've never hotwired a car, but I've got a friend that used to have a screwdriver for a key. It wasn't normal when he did it, and it's definitely not normal for an old lady to do, and really nothing about this interaction was normal, but it all seemed super bizarre. I just asked her if I could help her one more time, and she said she'd be fine. She kind of seemed like a MacGyver anyway, so even though it felt weird, I just figured I'd get back on the road. I wished her luck and headed on out. Don't go anywhere. We're definitely not ending with that. Best news of the day still yet to come. Also, there's a Republican representative from California that has doubled down on his comments about war crimes being something of the norm. That is just pretty wild. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, I'll put a link below to Politico. What? I've got to tell you about two nonprofits that I recently learned about that are doing fantastic things. Vet Cafe is trying to use farming and agriculture to help veterans through trauma and gain skills. It's really an amazing idea. I love it. I'm on their page very frequently. And the other is Stand Down Gaming. I think they're both in the Pacific Northwest. In the future, I'll probably do an episode just on nonprofits helping veterans. I saved the best news for last. There's a 96-year-old World War II veteran that recently had his discharge changed from a blue discharge to an honorable. I talk about the blue discharge in my homeless veteran episode, so check that out. It's been 75 years since Henry separated, and it's not necessarily going to make any of the wrongs right, but it shows the change our nation is going through when a branch of our government can admit wrong and correct it. So I'm really excited to see that Henry in Philadelphia was able to go through what it took to get his discharge changed, and I'm really excited to hear that the Army even pushed it along a little bit faster because of his aid. It still took him a year to change his discharge. He received a new DD-214 and a copy of his blue discharge stamped void. Check out his reaction video, the link is below. He's not going to jump for joy because he's 96, but it's really amazing to see just what something like that can do. I'd be interested to see what that looks like on a societal scale. After the Wicked Witch of the Pacific Northwest, I actually got lost. Google Maps went out and I took a wrong turn and it couldn't correct. I didn't have any signal, but I just kept going because it was so beautiful and it was all new to me. I'd looked at the map a few times on Google before I left, so I felt pretty comfortable, and even if I went off my route, it would only be by a little bit. I could figure it out, so I just kept going. I kept thinking and driving and thinking and driving. It was right about here that I noticed that the shadows were actually facing the wrong way and the landscape had dramatically changed. So I stopped at a gas station, bought a map, and, well, got back on the road. Oh, I almost forgot to tell you. I interviewed Griff from Combat Flip Flops. You might have seen him on Shark Tank. I'll be putting that episode out in the next couple weeks. Subscribe to make sure that you catch it. At this point, I'm pretty much to Seattle, and I just want to say thanks. Thanks for watching, whether this is your first episode or you were one of my first 100 subscribers. Thank you. And make sure you follow Regular Veteran on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. There's even a subreddit. My name's Scott. You're watching Regular Veteran. I'll see you on the internet. Thanks for watching.